When I was a little girl, I am an only child. There were no other kids in my immediate family or even my extended family on either side for like a million years. And my dad was in the military, so we moved all the time. Now, because that meant that I, as a kid, was alone all the time or with a bunch of adults who weren't a whole lot of fun to play with because they weren't kids. I developed a young part who dearly, dearly wanted a dog, like for all the world. And my parents were not really having it because moving all the time, it's super hard to have a dog. And my mom is a really tidy individual who likes to have a nice, well-run, organized, clean house. And a big, hairy, smelly, slobbery, sheddy dog really didn't kind of fit with that whole mojo. So as a result, I have a burdened exile part that's pretty young who really, 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 for all the world, wants a big, hairy, slobbery, shedding, big dog, and never had it. Now, this part also has had encounters with people who have strong personalities, and I have developed a protective part that comes in and causes me to disappear. This is my little shadow from How to Train Your Dragon. Just runs in and tries to help me disappear and not be present so that people who are big won't hurt me. Make sense? Okay. Now, my husband, on the other hand, of course, at his core has this wonderful, calm, curious, compassionate self, just like I do. And in his early life, he had some experiences where he felt devalued or unimportant. So he developed a burden exile that carries a burden of feeling unimportant or devalued. And he also developed a burdened firefighter that comes in and gets short with or kind of snaps at whatever the situation or person is that's making that part feel devalued so that that will back up or back away. And you can see where this is going, can't you? So fast forward to last week. Our son is home from college for the holidays, and that is the best thing ever. But not only is he home, but his slobbery, furry, hairy, shedding, wiggly 90 pounds of Labrador puppy is also home with him. And you can imagine how delighted my little girl part is. The dog she never had is here. So she is all about it. She wants to take Thor for a walk. She wants to throw the ball with Thor. She wants to do all the things with Thor. And what's really kind of funny is I can't throw balls to save my life. It's become a family joke. I try to throw the ball for Thor and it either goes straight up in the air or straight down onto the ground or over in the flowers or up in the umbrella. It's hopeless. It's not my skill set. So anyway, my little girl, she is so happy. Now, last Saturday, my husband and I took Thor to the dog park. And not just any dog park. This was a wonderful dog park filled with other smelly, furry, slobbery dogs and mud. Oh my gosh, best thing ever. So at the end of the dog park morning, we had a smelly, hairy, slobbery, muddy, stinky Thor in the back of my car, and it will never come out. The smell will always be there. My little girl is so happy. But she, like many little girls, when she gets to do something that she likes, says, again, do it again, because that's what little kids do when they're doing something they like. So, on our way home from the dog park, I saw another field that would be perfect for throwing the ball with Thor. And so I said to my dear long-suffering husband, honey, can we pull over and go to that park and throw the ball with Thor? Now, as you might imagine, my very patient and long-suffering husband at this point is feeling unimportant and undervalued. And so his protector part came up and got a little bit snippy with me and said, no, I don't want to do that. We've already spent the whole morning at the dog park. Thor just feels like he's more important than everybody in our family. At which point, my little girl felt hurt and my shutdown part came in. Now, this is an example of speaking from our parts. Okay? My little girl was completely blended with me. I had been taken over by my little girl, and it was she who was asking to go to the park, right? And when I stopped talking and got small, that was actually this part speaking, or more to the point, not speaking. When my husband felt unimportant and had the snippiness come out, that was actually his snippy part, his move against part that was speaking. He was speaking from that part. Notice it wasn't going so well. We both felt hurt. We both felt unappreciated and unsafe. It brought conflict into the relationship. This is a conflict that unfortunately is circular. It tends to happen every time Thor and my son come home from college to visit. But on this occasion, we both took a time out. I noticed the parts that were coming up in me, and I came back to my husband unblended. When we are unblended from our parts, our self can speak on their behalf. It can speak for them. That is a completely different experience than speaking from them. And when I did that, I was able to come back and say, honey, I am really sorry that you felt devalued. That makes a lot of sense to me, because I asked and then asked again to keep doing things with Thor when we had other priorities that you wanted to get done that day. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Would it be okay if I let you know what parts of me were activated in that conversation? I have this little girl part who's always wanted a dog, particularly a big, hairy, slobbery, wiggly, big ol' lovey dog. And that part is ecstatic when Thor is home and just can't get enough and wants to do all the things with Thor. And then when that part of me experiences the snippy part of you, I get a shutdown part that takes me over to try to get me out of conflict. That's what happened for me in our last situation. My husband immediately recognized what had happened. He was now unblended from his parts. He owned the parts that had become activated for him and apologized, because let's be honest, this part can create a little bit of hurt. He then left that conversation, went to PetSmart, unbeknownst to me, and bought my little girl a ball thrower, which he brought back to me to present specifically to the little girl part of me as a peace offering from his snippy part. And he literally, with tears in his eyes, said to me, I want to offer this ball thrower to your little girl part to make amends for how I hurt her so insensitively when I didn't understand that it was she that was asking to play with Thor again in that field. Will you please forgive me and accept this ball thrower? Which, of course, my little girl accepted with enthusiasm, and we promptly left the conversation and went and threw balls, which I now can throw without hitting all of the floral plantings in our backyard. It was delightful and really healing and meaningful to all of both of our parts. It radically de-escalated that circular conflict that had been going round and round and round in our marriage every time our son and Thor, the 90-pound wiggly, slobbery, hairy puppy, came home.